Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Mom. Hi Sunny, it's nice to
Hi,
see you.
Lindsay.
Today I have a fun topic because it's an interesting thing. It doesn't happen anymore in my life, so it's an easy one for me to talk about, but I think it's important for both moms and grandmoms to understand. And this is the topic of meddling grandparents. When to be one, when not to be one, when to just leave it alone. So I'll start off with a quick story about how my mom would come to me and decide that she had more information than I did and was going to meddle in my kids' lives when they were young.
Okay.
And I would often say to her, Mom, if you choose to do that again, I will take the kids and move to Texas.
Was that a threat or were you for real?
Oh, it was always an idle threat, but it was kind of funny in the beginning because my kids are really little. And I first want to say, really, in my very heartfelt, out loud voice, how much I appreciated having my mom and my grandmother within 10 minutes of me, basically my whole kids' lives. So, lucky me that I had people who wanted to be involved with the kids.
Yes,
So that's also
definitely.
like, yay, right? I know that that's not normal and I feel very lucky. But the meddling was pretty intense sometimes. And I had to have a code word. So I worked with my parents, mom and dad both. And if they were going too far on the we're telling Lindsay what to do with her kids road, I would just say, it's a sunny day. I literally, that was the word. It was
You
your
used
name.
my name?
I didn't even know you. But I said, it's a sunny day. And they would go, and then they would walk out of the room. So, okay, that get a code word for your parents
I
when they're
love
just going
that.
a little too far. So that's the starting point of a conversation about meddling parents and grandparents. So
That's fantastic. Well, first of all, I love that you used my name, even though
I
you didn't
know
know me.
I didn't even know you.
And I love that it was so off topic that if there was a kid in the room, the kid would have no idea.
No idea.
You
And there
know?
was no fighting about it. And they
Yeah.
knew that their responsibility when I would say that is okay, we're just going to not say another word. So, and there were always little things like, oh, why don't you give your daughter carrots tonight? She really loves carrots. And I'm thinking, it's a sunny day. I've got peas right now. There's nothing I can do about carrots. So it's like they would try to be controlling or say something, and it's like, oh my goodness, I cannot deal with this. I just got home from work. I've got all these things happening. So get a code word because your
Yes,
parents mean well.
they
And,
do.
the grandparents always want to just love on the little ones, and sometimes they go too far.
So this is interesting for me. So I've mentioned before that our family, both sides of the family, live on the other side of the country from where we
Yeah.
live. So we do get to see them, and we make a point to go back. And I've talked about this too, going back for the summer and spending time because we could see both sides of the family at that point. I don't get a lot of constant meddling just because of the distance factor. Okay,
True.
but we do talk on the phone. I'm talking specifically about my mom and I. We do talk on the phone, and she wants to know what's going on with the kids. And literally, this just happened yesterday. And I'm struggling with one of my kids right now with some behavior issues. And I'm explaining what's going on. And she's like, oh, well, you should just do this. As if that thing that she suggested was the most simple thing. As if I haven't tried to do that before, right? A million times. But I think that's where I get frustrated is oh, well, I know how you fix that. Just push this little button. It's like the little staples. What's that
Uh-huh.
button?
That's easy. That was
That's
easy.
easy. Meh,
Yeah.
meh, meh. I mean, I wish we had that for parenting. I
Mhm.
don't know of one that exists,
Mm-mm.
but sometimes like she'll say stuff and I'm just like, that sounds easy. And I do actually agree with a lot of what she says. It's just the implementation
It's very
of
hard.
that
Yeah.
is a lot more difficult. And
Yeah.
I think that's where I struggle sometimes. I will say what's really interesting is my in-laws, at least to me, they never suggest anything. And I don't even think they do with my husband. And it might be different. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe you can talk about this a little bit, but if it's your son
Yes.
versus your daughter that you're giving input to.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
I can imagine like when my sons grow up, if they end up getting married, I might be a little bit more standoffish to approach
Yep.
my daughters-in-law than I
Yeah.
would my own daughter,
Yep.
right?
Oh, totally. It's
Yeah.
way harder to approach the daughter-in-law. Never forget that. Like I remember being a daughter-in-law, and my mother-in-law was often would never say a thing. And I would invite her, like, Mary, it's okay. You can say whatever you want. You've had 6 kids. You probably have good insight. I have 2, and I'm an idiot, so whatever. And she was always very gracious about that. But there are some who want to, oh, honey, like you said, you just do this thing,
That's
and
it.
everything's just fine.
So easy.
I love the analogy of the armchair quarterback, and men
Mm.
generally can also relate to this. And that is, no one is playing the game except for the guy on the field with the helmet on his head.
Yes.
You can't see what they see. You can't hear what they hear. You can't feel what they feel. And so you can think that from 3,000 miles away, you can see it better, but you really can't. And you really can't. So, as a grandma, I leave it alone. If I'm asked directly for some insight, I'm glad to share. I
Right.
don't usually say much of anything. But I will share like when I find cool stuff for kids. I'm constantly sending it. Like, oh, this is really cool. If I was a kid, I'd want to do that. And
Yeah.
I don't care if my daughter wants to do it or not.
Right. If you're
It's
not
up to
attached to
them.
the outcome of it.
I'm
Right.
really not
Yeah.
attached. And you just kind of let it lie. And the one thing I do know is that grandparents are nothing but bundles of love for those
Yes.
grandkids. And
Yeah.
many times, we want to see our grandkids do even better than our own
Yes.
kids,
Yes.
because we
Yeah.
were kind of, I don't know what I'm doing with my own kids, but now you've been through it, you got a few t-shirts, you're like, oh, I think I know what to do better now, but you can't see the game, cannot see it. Like, no matter what I try to do, I couldn't see your game as a mom.
Right.
No way. So
Right.
this whole show, honestly, that's why Sunny and I are doing this, is because the game is your game. But we're going to
Hmm.
tell you some stuff that we've seen and done and tried. And if it works for you, woohoo. If it doesn't, oh well,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay. But the whole idea is that you realize it's your game and you can play it
Hmm.
any way you want. And we're here to serve. And if you've got questions about it, or you have things like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do with this, we're here for both the grandma who's got a daughter and son-in-law or whatever who are doing nothing right in your own mind.
Right. Right. According to how you see things.
Yeah, according to how you see it, So that's why we're here. Let us know what's going on for you, because we might have some insight. Who knows?
And I really do believe in the power of it takes a village, right? And I wish, and I think we're going back to this, but I wish our society was more focused on that kind of collaborative upbringing. I
Me
think we
too.
put a lot of pressure on parents to
Mm.
be everything for their kid. And that's not fair. We are being pulled in so many different ways. I wish, and I've thought this for years, it's so, difficult being so far away from our family,
Yeah.
our tribe. And
Yeah.
I wish that that wasn't necessarily the case, because if my parents and my in-laws were around more, they
Yep.
might be able to help more, not in the you should be doing this, but just taking the initiative. They would understand the situation better. They would have had more
Absolutely.
hands-on experience.
Yep.
So I kind of think our society is setting things up for parents to fail, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I
If
agree.
we had more of that loving, village kind of support, I don't think parents would feel as, that feeling of, oh, I'm doing it wrong, because that's what we hear sometimes when our parents make suggestions. Sometimes we're just like, she's saying I'm a bad mom. She's saying I'm not doing something
No.
right, and she did it better or whatever. That's what we're hearing. That's not
That's
usually
how we
what
hear
they're
it. Yeah.
saying.
It's not the truth.
It's
No.
not the truth. It's not
No.
what they're saying. It's how we're interpreting it. And a lot of it is just a miscommunication.
True.
So, anyways, if you've
That's
got
really
a
good.
family
Mhm.
that loves you and wants to help, like Lindsay said earlier, like thank God I have that kind of supportive family as well. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. And I
Mhm.
wish and I hope in the future we've got more of those kind of family environments to help us through this.
I couldn't agree more. It's just, I'm thinking about, and I'd love to hear your comments, audience, because I'm really thinking about starting a little, it's a company, it would be probably, but it's called Rent a Grandma, because I think that there are a lot of senior women, particularly, who have a lot to give in terms of love and attention, and just they can read to kids, they can play with them, they can, help them feel like they're the most magical thing in the world because they're a grandma now and at a stage in life where they have more time than they have anything, and they can give a lot of love. And I'll tell you, if I was a mom and I didn't have any family around me for whatever my reason, I would totally want to rent a grandma. Like,
Yeah.
every kid needs someone that thinks they're the most magical human in the world.
Yeah,
And,
it's true.
and when you're moms and you're working and you're doing your life and you're trying to do all the things, sometimes having a little magical grandma would be really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what, Lindsay, I have actually read stories and articles about this happening in other places in the world.
I think
It's
it does.
genius. Like I've heard of, they call them friendship benches. I can't remember where it's at, but there are
Oh,
grandmothers that come and sit on these benches, and anyone can
can come
come
and sit
up, sit
down.
on the bench, and strike up a conversation with a grandma.
I think we're gonna have
Genius.
to do it. I think we're gonna have to do it because there's just reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I love that our kids get to be loved. And if you're a mom with an otherwise meddling mother-in-law, or maybe just your own mother, don't worry about it. She is loving, and you can always say it's a sunny day, and we'll support that. We'll support you in all of that.
Absolutely.